What is up? I think we're live. Sweet. So it has been about a week since exactly a week since I last streamed. Got completely knocked out from some unknown sickness, but we are so back and just in time for the next week of the top dev stories in StackerNews. So this is my third week in a row on Monday, just getting all of the top dev stories from the past week. So this is the devs territory on StackerNews. So I got pulled up right here. I'll zoom in. And so this is the territory, basically like the subreddit sort of that I started on StackerNews. And so there's a lot of cool stories that are just flying through throughout the week. And a lot of them you can see I'm zapping them, but I'm not reading them a lot throughout the week. And so this is a good time to just go down the list and kind of dig deep anywhere where I'm kind of curious or just think there's something interesting or something I might use or could learn from. So that's kind of the format here. So I'm gonna get through, we got a full page this time, so I'm not sure how many I'm gonna get through, but we'll probably do this for about an hour. And then I'm gonna switch over to some live coding. I found a repo yesterday on my local machine, or today actually, that I hadn't pushed to GitHub before and I completely forgot about. I called it Spoof of Payments. And I had forgotten I had started on working on basically a simple script that tries to spoof a zap on Nostr using a clever mechanism. And I never got it fully working, never got to fully try it. So I want to see if I can get it working today and try it on a few clients and see if the clients can sniff it out or if they'll show my spoofed zaps. So that might be something fun. So we'll get into that probably in the second hour. But yeah, probably start here from the top. I forgot my StackerNews hat this week, damn it. Okay, so obviously I'm not gonna read this. This is just my post from last week from the video. But this one up the top I'm interested in. I scanned it earlier this week, April 2nd. So that was like 5 days ago or something. I scanned this, but I found this really interesting and excited to dive back in. So speaking of exploits, this is an exploit right here. So AJ 1992, how big of a threat is Lightning fee siphoning? So he says, hey guys, I just became aware of Lightning fee siphoning and the issues it caused in the past on major Lightning enabled platforms. If you aren't aware of what this is, you can learn about it and see how much damage his test runs did on these platforms. This links out to another post, lightningnetwork.plus. Okay, let's open that. And then he drops some questions for discussion. So I have a general idea of how this attack, I guess, works, but let's see what this piece says. Oh, this is a lot. Okay, cheap but not free, simple attack. Okay, simple. So deposit funds into a custodial service, then withdraw the funds. Done. Congrats for your profit. You place a node in the middle while the sending node. Okay, this is a very wordy way of basically saying, so what you want to do is you withdraw into a custodial service, like this is saying, and you want to have a Lightning node running yourself. And so you want to make sure that your node is in the middle, is in the route back to yourself. So it actually doesn't have to be like the end of the route. You just need to make sure that your node is in the middle. But the easiest way to do this is just to have a direct channel. And ideally a direct channel from a node that this is the only channel that the custodial service could send your payment to. Okay, so you're isolating where the payment is going to be withdrawn from. And then on that channel you just crank up the fees to an insane amount. And you collect the profit that way because you're the node runner. So that's my understanding of the attack. Okay, well, I forgot to mention we also need to place a node that will be routing the payments between the custodial service and the receiving node. The routing node will collect a fee. Hopefully the fee will be big enough so there is a net profit. So i.e. withdrawal fee plus deposit fee. Yeah, so there's some calculation you need to do with the exchange or whatever. If a positive net return is possible, then it is just a matter of optimizing the size of the fee collected and the transaction speed rate to see how big the damage could be. It's easy to see how this attack must be feasible on any service with free withdrawal fee. Yeah. So how do you place a node in the middle? That is a good question. Well, the sending node is in charge of selecting the route. A priori, it seems unlikely that the sender will select a very expensive route. However, there is a case when the sender will certainly have to send the payment, that's a typo, through our routing node. We will connect our receiving node to the Lightning Network only with a single channel to our routing node. Therefore, payments, if they arrive at all, must be relayed by ourselves. Okay, so exactly like I was saying. And so, yeah, I guess, so I'm not sure what the fee limits are on channels. Like, is there a max fee limit on, is there a max fee limit for relaying transactions through a channel on the Lightning Network? Because I'm wondering, like, I know that probably the way to do this is with multiple. You kind of try it out once, you see if you make a small profit, and you keep doing it continually. Hopefully, I mean, ideally without being noticed. While there is no hard-coded maximum fee limit enforced by the protocol, the market itself, comprised of all the participants in the Lightning Network, effectively regulates the fees. Okay, yeah, so there's a free market of fees, but of course, if my node only has one channel, there's no freak market for fees. I have the monopoly on the ability for you to send to me and how much that's going to cost, and if the service isn't checking it. And so Keon is the one that originally told me about this attack. I don't know if I'm wrong. I think maybe people tried to do this on StackerNews in the early days. Wait, what? Oh. He just yelled over. He knew about it. Okay, so this didn't happen to StackerNews. Yeah, you actually notice if you go to withdraw, you pay for the fees and you set the max fee limit, which I think is it's a pretty good UX. Like, ideally, you wouldn't want your users to have to worry about that, but if you're already providing a wallet, like having them pay and consider that overhead, I don't think that's too much. And so. Okay, so we know what that attack is. So questions for discussion: how big of a threat does this still pose to the implementation and sustainability of the Lightning Network? Well, we kind of answered this already. Not much at all. Does this have potential to threaten any major Lightning-enabled platforms anymore? Definitely. How can this threat be completely eradicated by Lightning developers? Is that even possible? Kind of discussed that as well. So, yeah, by forcing the user to pay the fee, that seems to solve it. I don't know if there's some other. Yeah, I mean, if you just make your user pay the fee every time, you don't have to worry about this straight up. So, does this have the potential to threaten any major Lightning-enabled platforms anymore? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what Lightning platforms I actually use that are custodial and I withdraw from them. So, Cash App is definitely one. And Cash App has free Lightning withdrawals as well, up to a certain limit. So yeah, I wonder if people are trying to do this with the Cash App, but I'm trying to think of Cash App's Lightning network setup. They're probably running a bunch of nodes. I wonder if we can see, is there a Cash App node on public Lightning network? Cash App. I don't see it. Is it block? Block tank, block. There's block everything. So not sure, but yeah, I wonder if you could do this with Cash App. I mean, really, you would just need to have a channel open with them, but maybe they might have a private node. They might also use. No, I don't think they use an LSP. I think they have their Lightning integration in-house. But anyway, we could speculate about that. But I feel like with as big of a target as they are, this might have happened to them already. But I don't know how many users actually use Lightning on Cash App. that aren't already kind of Lightning users like myself. I mean, it's not exactly pushed to the surface in the UI. Even the Bitcoin tab is kind of tucked away now. It's not even a tab. But yeah, like maybe a Cash App somewhere where you have free Lightning withdrawals. If you can ensure that you are the one route. And really the best way to do that is to have this single channel and receive to your own node. So I bet for the Cash App, I bet you could just open a channel to like an async or something like that. Let's see, so you open a channel, but then you need inbound. So maybe you keep your fees low. Yeah. Okay, so there is a bit of setup here. You would need a bigger node that is likely to route your payment to open a channel to you. So obviously there's services. So let's say maybe we did a voltage. We could do like a voltage flow, and we could pay for an inbound channel from voltage. And then we just generate invoices from our node, and we keep withdrawing our daily limits every day from Cash App. That's an idea. I don't endorse this idea, by the way. I'm just saying, I guess this is how you could do this to a current Lightning platform. But I mean, this just speaks to like the overhead of being custodial at all. The overhead of running a custodial Lightning node. It's, you know, as people started to tell me about their experiences around here, I definitely got more of a healthy fear of it. And with the projects I build, I mean, unless they're just example projects, I really am trying to stay non-custodial as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, losing other people's money, losing your own money. Okay, let's dive into some of the comments here. So how big of a threat does still pose? None. That's relieving for real. However, Sats for likes has been a recent victim of this scam. Sats for likes. This is like Sats for likes. Maybe they're down right. Oh, okay. I see. So these are just like. Okay, it's just a service to pay a bot to like your tweet. That's kind of cool. But I guess they have a custodial wall in here. That interesting. They don't elaborate here. Make people pay for their own withdrawal fees. Yeah. Okay, so a quote here. I think this is from the article. The fee charged by OKX seems to be strictly equal or higher than the cost to route the payment. There's no way one could make a net profit from OKX using this tag. What is it? Is strictly equal or higher than the cost to route a payment. Okay, so are they maybe estimating the route or the fee of the route? So I know that you can, I have the L&D API open right here. Let's see. With L&D, can I estimate what my payment route? Yeah, seems like they're estimating, maybe, which seems maybe a little bit like an inferior approach, but seemingly better on the user experience side. This seems to be a viable solution as noted in the post. So if services offering LN withdrawals adhere to this, then they're fine. Okay. You can both estimate your payment route and the associated fees before actually sending a payment. Okay, that's what I thought. So query routes. Looks like query routes. Let's see if ChatGPT is hallucinating. Query routes. Attempts to query the daemon's channel router for a possible route to a target destination capable of carrying specific amounts of satoshis. Okay. Do we have routes? Routes is an array. What does that include? An array of route, which this? Where is this? Okay, total fees. So that's pretty easy. You just hit this method with the destination. So, I mean, yeah, that seems good. I guess like if you don't want to don't want to make your users pay for fees. Yeah, stats for like getting victimized by this recently in numerous attacks. Rough. If major nodes and platforms are susceptible to having their liquidity drained, that undermines trust and reliability of the whole system. Users need to have confidence that their funds are safe and that transactions will be processed as expected. The fact that it was possible at all suggests there may be other vulnerabilities yet to be discovered. I don't know. That's kind of like an overly general statement. Like, yeah, there's probably other kinds of niche attacks that we can find, but I think that this one actually isn't that exciting. Pretty easy to understand, pretty easy to avoid, but really it's that unknown. And I wouldn't have known about this if I hadn't heard about it from someone else, right? So anyone can kind of naively not realize these small attacks and set up some kind of service and become victim to them. So, okay, so that's our first story. So next one up, decentralized alternative to GitHub. So I zapped this one. I haven't clicked on it yet. So let's see. Radical, as not spelled correct, has announced the launch of Radical 1.0, which it says will transform how developers publish and distribute open source code, AI models, and research. Okay. Let's see. thestreet.com/crypto/markets. Gross. Okay. So seems short. Okay, Radical is announced. Blah, blah, blah. Conceived as a kind of decentralized GitHub wherein users retain total ownership of both their identity and data. The peer-to-peer code collaboration stack features a decentralized identity system, interesting, a custom gossip protocol, and integrated social artifacts. I don't know what social artifacts means. Does that mean maybe like OAuth 2, like you're cross-verifying from other services? The arrival of Radical 1.0 builds on the protocol's beta release, which appeared in 2020. Okay. Radical is our answer to that. A sovereign code forge that gives our users full autonomy and ownership of their data. Okay, but how does it work? Built on top of Git, okay, and backed by public key cryptography, the local first developer network enables devs to set the rules of their code universe and run nodes without having to rely on third parties. Its software, known as the Radical Stack, primarily consists of command line interface and networked service, the Radical node. Okay. With Radical, nodes exchange data via gossip protocol to ensure a robust, disruption-tolerant network. Okay, what is this gossip? And where's the data being stored? So I'm running this client, I'm running this node locally. Seemingly I'm storing my own data, but am I gossiping like the metadata about my code? Users can also utilize the Radical web client HTTP daemon, which provides an intuitive web-based experience. Last week, former GitHub CEO Nat Friedman tweeted, China interfered constantly with GitHub to make it barely usable for Chinese residents. Damn. DNS poisoning, throttling, blocking subdomains. They don't let us run our apps there. We shouldn't let them run important apps in our country. Wow, that's crazy. It's a problem of centralization. As acknowledged by GitHub, the Forge receives requests from governments to remove content that has been declared unlawful, and may need to block content if we receive complete request from a government official. All right, let's see how this thing actually works if we can. So, Radical, spelled wrong, 1.0. Okay, this looks cool. Unlike centralized code hosting platforms, there's no single entity controlling the network Repositories are replicated across peers, okay, in a decentralized manner, and users are in full control of their data and workflow. So replicated in a decentralized manner, is this like sharding, maybe? Like, how do you do this? This seems like a lot of data. How it works, the Radical protocol leverages cryptographic identities for code and social artifacts, utilizes Git for efficient data transfer between peers, and employs a custom gossip protocol for exchanging repository metadata. Okay. So is it just the metadata that's replicating? And your data forever. Secure, unparalleled autonomy. Radical protocol guide. Okay, this is a lot. We don't have to go too deep here. Ooh, let's have Sam Altman read this and summarize it. Is the actual code stored locally in this protocol, or is it stored across nodes on the network? Yeah, that is a lot. This sounds cool. And I like that it's built on top of Git because, well, for a lot of reasons. There's nothing wrong with Git. It's almost a user experience problem from a sense. Everyone is so used to relying on GitHub and not needing to host their own code repositories or their own GitLab or Git. People usually do it out of some form of necessity or principle. And then everyone else, I mean, like me, it's just on GitHub. Okay, a lot here. This means users maintain local copies of their repositories and interest directly on their devices. The protocol is designed to operate. Yeah. These nodes are responsible for hosting and synchronizing Git repositories across the network. When a user interacts with a repository, whether by cloning, initializing, or seeding it, their local node reflects these actions in its seeding policy, which determines which repositories are retained on the device and made available to the network. This local-first approach ensures users have continuous access without the internet. Okay. Repositories in Radical are self-certifying, meaning that all the actions and updates within a repository are cryptographically signed, and this allows other nodes in the network to independently verify the authenticity and integrity of the repository data once it's propagated. So is it kind of like I'm a node, I'm a Bob node, and I want to request Alice's repository from across the network. Do I just send out a gossip message, and then the network fetches it from that locally hosted version? And it's able to verify the signatures because the signatures of like the latest changes have already been propagated on the network. It kind of sounds like that. I want to dig into this more. I'm very curious because this seems like a lot of data storage. Because you're just building up this huge cache of metadata over time. We should revisit this. Someone on dev should do my work for me and do a proper deep dive here. But this seems interesting. Like, I'm glad that people are working on this still. And I know that a lot of people have worked on Nostr solutions, including myself. And I don't think Nostr is necessary. Like, Nostr is a cool movement to kind of spur up this idea. But Nostr is not necessary. But then having a brand new protocol is just like, okay, well, now we have to grok this and make sense of it. All right, onward. Sweet, so this is a educational little piece, HTTP 1, 2, and 3 from ASIC. I didn't know there was an HTTP 1, 2, and 3. I only knew of HTTP and HTTPS. So a little history lesson here. So HTTP 1.0 was finalized in 1996. Every request to the same server requires a separate TCP connection, which is expensive to establish. Every request to the same server requires a separate TCP connection. That is extremely expensive. Wow. Okay. 1997, 1.1 introduced persistent connections, which allow TCP connection to be reused for multiple requests and responses. Nice. This reduces the latency in setting up new connections for each request. But HTTP 1.1 does not solve the head of line blocking problem. I don't know what that means. Although HTTP 1.1 enabled pipelining where multiple requests could be sent out without waiting for each response, the responses still had to be processed and sent back in order the requests were received. Okay, so you had to have a queue. This ordering requirement caused HOL blocking. If the first request took a long time, all later requests had to wait. I see. HTTP 2 in 2015. Wow. I was working at Jimmy John's. Introduced HTTP streams, an abstraction that allows multiplexing different HTTP exchanges onto the same TCP connection. Multiplexing? That's kind of a badass. That's kind of a badass word. I wonder if they have that locked down. Can I use that for my new layer 2 protocol? I'm gonna call it multiplexing. Streams don't need to be sent in order. This eliminates HOL blocking, but HOL still exists at the TCP transport layer. HTTP 3 draft was published in 2020. It uses QUIC instead of TCP as the transport protocol. I've never heard of this either. QUIC. QUIC uses UDP. It introduces streams at the transport layer. QUIC streams share one connection, so no new handshakes or slow starts are necessary to create new streams. QUIC streams are delivered independently, so packet loss usually doesn't affect other streams. Wow. This is actually a cool, not on its face, is this a cool story, but reading into it, this is just a cool example of a protocol being built in layers and improving over time. And a protocol that a lot of people use and rely on. So this draft is still out. It was published in 2020. Is that what this image is? Wow. Continually humbled by networking. There is a lot to it. Okay, so that's a cool history of HTTP, and a good ode to building things in layers. So thank you, Azik. Okay, cursor.sh, a competitor to GitHub Copilot. Okay, so I see two stories here about Cursor. This one and then this one, they're both from the same person too, Choke. But this one says meet Cursor, so I'm gonna read this one first because it says meet Cursor, so that seems like a better place to start. Okay. So in software development, building and debugging code can be challenging. Developers often spend significant time and effort. Yeah. While existing tools and IDEs are available to assist developers, they may not always offer the level of productivity and efficiency needed to tackle complex tasks. This, I wonder how this adds to the story. I'm confused. Okay, let's look at this article. So, when a code using GPT-4 meet Cursor, an AI-powered code editor / IDE built and designed to help developers build software faster. I just remembered we have a resident pleb lab here, Ted the pleb, who was using Cursor, and he was telling me all about it one day, and next week he was like, "Hey, Cursor doesn't work anymore," and I was like, "What?" It's funny too because he's not a developer, but he was just trying to work on a little app for the first time, and was just like, I'm gonna get this AI IDE Cursor. Okay, let's see what it does. Oh, so they just printed the first. He just printed the first paragraph in this article. Yeah, we know this. So it's problem statement. Here's what we currently have. Meet Cursor, an AI-powered code editor designed to help developers build software faster and more efficiently. Cursor offers a range of features, including chat, edit, debug, terminal, command K, and more, all powered by advanced language models. Okay, so AI in the IDE. Cool. One feature demonstrating Cursor's capabilities is its ability to auto-fix terminal errors by leveraging AI technology. What is a terminal error? What do you mean by that? Like I type in a command wrong? Can analyze terminal errors, search through code files, and suggest fixes automatically. Hence, it saves developers valuable time. Okay. Let's look at this guy's video. These articles, they tire me with their repetition. There's no volume here. Okay, wait. So highlighting the code, can edit, I can chat, show current download. Okay, so putting in a request. And it generates a diff, kind of like a get diff here. I mean, that's a cool UI experience, I guess. Like you generate a diff and then you accept it or reject it. But yeah, I just don't care. I feel like this isn't moving the needle. I'm curious. I want to see more of what it does, though. I don't want to just judge it right away. Okay, let's look at this one. Yet against the odds, I download the app, open my fresh experiment project in Python, and start coding. And now Cursor is my daily driver, replacing VS Code. Okay, is this someone talking about their experience? A paid shill, perhaps? Okay. Yeah, so this person came across it. They were doubting it. And they're giving it a try. Okay, a few words about AI coding, getting started with Cursor, and pricing. Coding with Cursor. Cursor versus Cody AI. I don't know what that is. And why pick Cursor over Copilot? Okay, so you basically buy, because you're using they're just using GPT-4. So you're using their API key. So they're just wrapping an IDE around their ChatGPT API keys. Okay, so coding with Cursor with some nice features, it seems. Not to be demeaning or bearish. Okay, what I liked about Cursor UX is its simplicity and efficiency. There are two shortcuts I'll be referring to on macOS. Command K brings up an inline chat pop-up in the editor or terminal. Command L toggles the left sidebar with chat inside IDE and also putting any selected text or code. Okay, so you can highlight the code and then open it up in the sidebar and chat about it. Yeah, that looks cool. That will probably speed up, I guess, the workflow if you're already going to be like chatting with ChatGPT about your code or something like that. Like it's nice to not have to, go copy all of that context and move it over. The context is there and it's available. And that's what a lot of these integrated AI tools, the advantage seems to be, is just the context is being pulled in automatically because it's already in the environment. You don't need to provide it via copy pasta. So features, chat, inline chat, terminal chat. So the features are various forms of chat. The advantages of Cursor would be frictionless start, no credit card is needed, has free quotas for 3.5 and 4. It can use your OpenAI or Azure OpenAI endpoints for inference. Interesting. Inference. About what? Is this just like you can use your API keys instead? The UI UX might be better for your taste. don't like how Copilot is loaded with multiple options, recipes, blah, blah, blah. It has an experimental feature, interpreter mode, which allows you to use cursor in an agentic mode. Is that our new verb form of being an AI agent? You're acting very agentic today. When the IDE tries to do multiple steps updates that might suit your workflows. Okay, so you can basically just make workflows with multiple chaining requests. Yeah. Okay, well, I remain skeptical. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll watch a video on it sometime. I would like to see someone using it, but for right now, I mean, I don't need something like this. Like, Copilot is already kind of bumping into my shins a lot when I'm coding. And I just refer to ChatGPT when I have big questions with a lot of context, which, you know, usually I take the time to copy that over. So the time save for me isn't that huge, but we'll keep an eye on it. Meet Open Interpreter, open source project that lets GPT-4 execute Python code. So more AI. Provides full internet access by running in your local environment. Poses no runtime limitations. Allows for seamless interaction with language models. I see. So you kind of create sort of a connection to a environment on your local machine so it can execute the code. So this is just the limitation of having, I guess, OpenAI like in a centralized manner execute your code. Okay, well that's cool. It's kind of a AI feature I don't use either. It's code execution. Let's get our music back going. Okay. Cookie basics. Okay, let's learn about cookies from ASIC. At its core, HTTP is stateless. Great way to start. I love this statement. Is stateless. Each request/response cycle stands on its own, with the server forgetting everything after responding. Very nice design, but often we need to remember things between requests, like user logins or shopping carts. That is where cookies come in. Okay, so this is just a basic on what cookies are. Yep, so when a server wants to remember something, it sends a set cookie header telling your browser to create a cookie. From then on, your browser sends that cookie data back with each request to the server, allowing it to remember you. But it goes further. Cookies enable sessions, which are like personal data stores on the server tied to your specific interactions. The server gives you a unique session ID cookie, and when you send it back, the server recognizes you and accesses your session data. So, security and privacy controls baked in, only send cookies over HTTPS and secure cookies. Okay, while HTTP only cookies are hidden from the browser, JavaScript code are hidden from browser JavaScript code to stop cross-site scripting. Okay, I see. So they just separate the memory. Here's this cool graphic. Yeah, I'd never done, obviously I've done a lot with like sessions and local storage for auth mainly. I mean, that's what everyone uses it for, but I never really used cookies. I had to make at one point for a company I worked for, I had to make a cookie banner and had to like really dive deep in that world, and it's so gross. If you look in your, most people, if you go and look in your browser cookies, you will find a G tag in there. You will find Google in your cookie jar if you go looking for them. So okay, basic informational little piece there. So we've got 10 GitHub. Oh, I just realized I'm not zapping. I need to pump these up. That was a good one. This was a good one. I liked this ASIC. These were meh. Just bear us on cursor. This was okay. Cookie basics. Thank you. Okay. So 10 GitHub repositories to master computer science. These repositories provide valuable resources for mastering computer science, including comprehensive roadmaps, free books, courses, and tutorials, and hands-on coding exercises to help you gain the skills and knowledge necessary to thrive in the ever-evolving field of technology. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. For those that are studying computer science. Yeah, these are a lot of the go-tos. I like Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp is one of my favorites, but really I like YouTube. I like to see other people write the code live and talk about it, which is kind of why I sort of do a similar thing sometimes. Okay, Big Indian versus Little Indian. I learned about this from Nifty. I learned about this in Base 58, because this is a computer science topic that you run into definitely once you start learning about Bitcoin transactions. And man, when I was learning the explanations for this, they were overly complicated. I felt at first. When I finally realized what it meant, I was like, oh, it's just, is it flipped backwards or is it flipped forward? Let's dig deep. I don't remember why. Microprocessor architectures commonly use two different methods to store individual bytes in memory. This difference is referred to as byte ordering or Indianness. Intel x86 processors store a 2-byte integer with the least significant byte first. Significant, I guess that means smaller, like lower integer number, but it's a byte. So what does that mean, least significant byte? Followed by the most significant byte. This is called Little Indian byte ordering. Okay, I guess by significance they're just meaning the original order. In Big Indian byte order, the most significant byte is stored at the lowest memory address, and the least significant byte is stored at the highest memory address. Older PowerPC, Motorola 68K architectures often use Big Indian. Big Indian is also used in network communications. Byte ordering becomes significant when data is transferred between systems or processed by systems with different Indianness. So it's an interop. It's an interop thing. It's important to handle byte order correctly to ensure consistent data interpretation across diverse systems. Okay, so I guess that makes a lot more sense. So we've got different processor architectures that store the bytes differently on their memory addresses. And as the machines need to communicate, they need to make sure that they're interoperating with however the machine they're communicating with stores the bytes. 0, 1, 0, 3. I see. Cool. Good little computer science lesson. Okay, how deep are we here? 46 minutes. Let's go through a few more. ASIC again, telling us about top 4 forms of auth-in, auth-z mechanisms. I don't know what these are. Oh, SSH keys. Cryptographic authentication for secure remote access. Public-private key pair. Cool. OAuth tokens. So I've used actually all 4 of these. I've used SSL certificates, which is usually a pain in the ass when you're doing development. Credentials. Let's look at this graphic. Okay, this is pretty cool. It's graphics are really hard to read sometimes. Authenticator, auth tokens. I've made authentication graphics though before, and it's hard to, it's hard to make them simple. SSL certificates. Sweet. Okay, I didn't know those were referred to as authn and authc. Okay, this was my one post from the week. Replit Dev Day starting soon. I watched this live when it happened. Let's go to this link. Do they have? Yeah, so I didn't catch all of it, but we have build our story, built on Replit, blah blah blah. Yeah, so they had two real big announcements here. One was Replit Teams. And this seemed to be a way to have live collaboration. So VS Code had something similar. I've used it before. What was it called? I forget. There's some way where you can collaborate in VS Code, but it had a ton of lag.
Look at what we've been building.
Okay, so live, we've got live coding and collaborating in the same repo. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this seems cool. I don't know. For me, like, Replit already feels messy when I'm alone, when I'm coding by myself. It feels like there's a lot going on. I don't know if I would want to work with multiple people in the same Replit. And I wonder, like, how often are you, like, pair programming in the same file? I mean, I guess, like, you and another person trying to solve a problem, but that's like a specific use case versus trying to move kind of all of the communications on working on the code, like into Replit versus into your Slack or whatever else you're using for your company. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The other thing they announced here was the AI code repair, which I thought this was a little cooler. Is basically like live. So this is their old way of doing it. They kind of have this integrated chat, sort of like we were seeing with Cursor, etc. Yeah, so they sped up their model a lot, and it basically works in your code, or you can enable it to work in your code like a human. So like here they have this example of the AI like live as there's an error. It's rewriting your code in front of you, kind of as a teammate. So, I mean, I guess I was talking earlier about like a lot of these wrappers for helping you with your code and using ChatGPT, etc. Like, it's just saving you the copy paste. I think this is a bit of a step further where it might be saving you even noticing this bug in the first place, which is cool, but I wonder how you authorize it, and I'm kind of curious to use it. I'll probably try it on stream sometime. But, okay. So that was Replit Dev Day, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, I might call it here. We've gone through like 10 stories. But keep them coming in. Yeah. that will do it for right now. I think I'm gonna get into the coding portion. But thanks to everyone for posting. I definitely see a few number of you that are keeping up posting in devs, so really appreciate that. And we'll just keep the stories flowing through, and I'm gonna keep coming here and talking through them every week.